So, it is time to try and reclaim this rather damaged table. So it's a geomorphic board. I've only got two of them. They're 2 foot by 4 foot. And I'm attempting to, as I said, to reclaim a little bit of them and redo what I had done in the past. For reasons unknown to me, I decided not to actually make them very interchangeable. So what I'm attempting to do now is to redirect all my roads so that they will match up regardless of what orientation I turn these boards to. And the plan is to have at least one more 2 by 4 foot board and a couple of 2 foot by 2 foot boards that I'll mix in whenever I need to, just to give it a little bit more variety than what I could. So originally I'd wound up having all of this stuff come out where the roads basically came out at the center of the 4 foot section. So if you take a look at it, you're going to see that that is at the 2 foot mark roughly along the length of the 4 foot board. Makes it rather difficult then to turn this board so that I've got 2 feet over here marking up here and going along there. The roads won't actually match up because the roads, as you can see as I slowly try and pan down here, come out at the center of the 2 foot board. So they're 1 foot in here, and as I said, 2 feet in there. Roads don't match. So now I've put in some quick poly filler to block off the roads. Then over on this road, which was a road running right across here to connect, I decided just to muck around with it and try and make it into a 3D board. It occurs to me that making these flat styrofoam boards kind of pointless if they're flat, really. You kind of want to make them have some depth to them, some height, that type of thing. So I gouged in for now. You can see this hill up here. This hill has not got long to live. I've hacked into it a bit right now, but quite frankly I'm not even happy with the hacking in of it. So I am going to cut that hill out completely and replace it with a much more rounded hill. If you take a look over here, the little bit there that's green, that is actually all of the hill that was there. I've now added polyfiller to try and round out the hill to make it look a little bit slightly more natural. Same thing over on that hill, which basically with the road there, I had made it look like a ridge as if it had been cut into to actually build the road. So now that I've decided that the road's no longer running that direction, I'm expanding up that hill. So we'll see how the polyfiller works on that. Right there is an excellent ground zero game truck. Not actually the scale that I plan to play on this, but it was lying around. I thought I'd put it down there and take a look at it. Didn't remember that it was going to be there when I started taking pictures. And then I've got this hillock as well, which I am trying to smooth out so that it will eventually look more like a slope and less like I stuck a piece of styrofoam on top of more styrofoam. I kind of want it to blend a little bit better. And overall, taking a look at the board, not really kind of happy with either the dark reddish brown color of the board, or the lack of grass, or the lack of dry brushing, lack of much of anything. And yet I have actually used this board for a game. Dystopian Wars, in fact, is what I've used it for. My plan would be to be able to use this for Dystopian Wars and for Epic 40k. So it's, not really even we're close to the same scales, but Buck Reddit should all work out, hopefully. So part of what I'm doing is, amazingly enough, finding this tool, which I put away in one of my drawers somewhere. Something to do with drywalling, I think. Anyways, it's how I made the roads originally many years ago. And this thing really has been languishing in my games room for years now. And At any rate, that's what I did originally, was to run this thing all the way along here, pressing down on it, and then I sanded it a little bit. But I kind of like the ridges. I don't know if you can really make out, but there are actual ridges on this thing. I kind of like the rough ridge look to it. Bottom line, I've been making slightly sunken roads by pressing with a great deal of force into the styrofoam to depress the styrofoam with this. Gives me a set width of road, which should pretty much work for anything that I plan to use. I figure with dystopian wars, the vehicles are so grossly overscale that maybe they build large, wide roads as well just to move some of these things. And even the roads at this width, which is, what, 2 inches, many of the dystopian vehicles just not going to work on it. Over here you can see that part of my urban renewal has been to cut through this lovely virgin grass section and start another road section here. So the plan is to have roads there and there, but they're not necessarily going to connect to anything. This area is still going to retain its wilderness aspect to it. So there will be no actual roads offshooting at any of the 3 aspects of this second half of the 2 foot by 4 foot board. So down there, far end, past another hill that needs some work done, you can see another road is being extended. Unfortunately, it seems that I sort of left myself with that opportunity as I created roads and then stopped them. Really wasn't an extension to, or a difficult thing to extend this road, so I did. And over here, past all the other junk, because I decided I was going to start sweeping up some of this, and that's a Battleground, a completely different game. I may yet have a road that comes through here and connects up there, and I'm definitely having the one that's going to connect. Where's my hand? There it is. Connect right along here. So that's the other plan. Keeping with the idea of offset roads, not a straight line across, because I mean, effectively, this is a straight line across this entire board, going from that end to that end. The road runs the length of it, but sorry, not a straight line. So there's jigs and jags, hills, covers, so that people can't just race down from one end of the table to the other. And then imagine that this will be canted sometimes, so this will line up completely differently, and all of a sudden this road will be running this way, and another board would be over here. Anyways, looking at a 4 by 6 foot table is essentially what I'm trying to build here, with some variations and some options. And then this large gouge that I've carved into this thing was originally just sort of going to be a gully, but I've been really getting a kick out of doing water effects, so I have a funny feeling that I'm going to be pouring some water into that at some point. I'll seal it all up, paint it, and then pour in some Woodland Scenics water, still water, and create a lake, pond, whatever the heck you want to call it, but just another obstruction that will cause problems. Maybe not a whole ton of water in there, because I kind of want it to represent the water, but by the same token not being such a major issue. First video, don't know if this is even working. Fairly static shots, mostly because whenever I watch other people, I kind of get seasick watching them. So I try to keep the stuff as basically as I can. So a little bit of movement here and there. That's the rasp file that I've used to carve into this. And that has been the polyfiller that I've been using to fill it in, and occasionally a little bit of Liquitex because it's got some grit to it, but I'm going to be adding grit and everything like that. Anyway, it's time for me to say goodbye, and time for the cat to apparently want to claw at me. So more later on. We'll see how this all worked out. Thank you.